Do you want to know how to help your child mature emotionally? Well, in our family, we always have talked about emotional strength. I decided that one of my goals as a parent was to raise emotionally strong children, which means they have to have an amount of maturity too. My name is Nicolene Peck. I'm the previous foster parent of troubled teens, as well as the mother of 4 and the author of 11 books about parenting, owner of TeachingSelfGovernment.com. Needless to say, I love the topic of parenting, and I'm excited today to talk with you about how to help your child mature emotionally. We all know what it looks like when a person is emotionally weak, right? The littlest thing will get to them. They get overwhelmed easily. They have a hard time regulating. Sometimes they have a hard time connecting with other people because they become very consumed with how they're feeling all of the time. There's almost a distant feeling with a person who has emotional trauma or something that they're going through that's an emotional weakness at the time. We also know people who have emotional weakness when they're set off that fast. Something happens and they cannot accept that things didn't go their way, and so they get sad immediately or angry immediately, or they sometimes even jump to bond to somebody in a way that's too familiar immediately. And so sometimes there are social boundaries even that are out of place when a person is not fully emotionally strong, which does include an amount of self-restraint. So what does it look like when a person is emotionally strong? That was the goal I had for my children. Well, what it looked like in my mind was that if my child was told no, they couldn't do something, that they could be okay with that they could discuss it with me, and that they would be fine. That if my child had a moment where they failed, that they would know how to accept failure graciously and not seek attention for it and whine and complain and have a hardship over it. That doesn't mean there's never been tears and that we haven't been normal people, because sometimes disappointment happens, but it also means that they can rally. If a person does have a moment that is sad or hard, they can tell themselves, that's enough. I can move forward now. So as there's this feeling of empowerment that the person has, that they have the confidence and the skill to handle their problems. Now, do children start out that way? Not usually. No, you have to teach it to them, and it requires skills training, a lot of patience and practice, because the front part of a child's brain is very small at first and grows more and more and more over time, but they don't reach full maturity in their brain until they are between the ages of 18 and 26 years old. The emotional part of their brain is actually the oldest part of their brain, and that's their go-to for a really long time. So when we say, how do you help a person reach emotional maturity or mature emotionally, we don't really want to feed the emotional part of the brain. We actually want to mature the prefrontal cortex, the logical part. This will help them be able to analyze their emotions, and that's probably the maturity that we're usually going toward. There are 7 things that we can do to create emotionally strong children and then future emotionally strong adults. Number 1 is self-government. They need to know that they have all the ability that they need to control themselves, that they can choose to be calm if they want to, that they can choose to be okay and drop the subject when something is frustrating to them. They can choose to give somebody else a chance and not have to be the center of attention. There's a lot of things that they can choose, and those are wrapped up in the idea of self-government. Self-government is analyzing yourself and planning for your success, and then regularly watching what you do and putting yourself back on track. That's what it means to self-govern. Number 2 is the right kind of tone. Tone is the feeling that you have within your relationship. What does it feel like when you talk to each other? Does it feel safe? Does it feel loving? Does it feel like everything's going to be okay? Hopefully, when you're teaching your children and talking to them and you're helping them reason out some of their problems and handle and analyze some of their emotions, everything feels safe and okay. No judgmental, no anger, no frustration. The tone is huge. For a person to learn self-government, they have to have the right kind of tone. Number 3 is structure. You need to have the right kind of structure as well. So it's one thing to say, I know what self-government is and I want it, but it's another thing to be able to actually plan for your success and track your progress as you're going along. So what you need to do is you need to have skills in place. You need to have certain times where you communicate with the child and you assess how they're doing. These would be certain meetings potentially that you would have as a family and individual, one-on-one. You would have this system put together that allows for the family to make plans and check up on those plans. That's the structure you need. And if you've got your structure in place, including skills that you need to control yourself, then the tone can come through it all. But if you don't have a structure in place and you're just guessing minute by minute, you're going to lose your tone almost immediately. This brings us to number 4, which is skills. There are 4 skills that every person needs to know if they are going to be self-governing and be able to control themselves when their emotions start to flare up. Those 4 skills are how to follow instructions, accept no answers and criticism, accept consequences, and disagree appropriately. In every one of these skills, it talks about calmness and getting yourself to a place of calmness. So the person plans for that. They plan their tone, and then it tells them the next steps that they need. The structural steps, what to do next, who to check back with, and how to do that self-evaluation. These skills are vital for success. We all know people who don't disagree appropriately with each other. We all know people who cannot accept a no answer. Think of those people who rant and rave as they're driving down the road because somebody in traffic did something they didn't like. They complain. Well, that's not keeping a calm voice, and that's also not dropping the subjects, which means that they are not accepting no answers. Those are 2 of the steps to accepting a no answer. So we need to teach our children the exact skills that they need, that they can hold on to, so that they can choose not to give in to the emotional craving that has been being fostered and nurtured since they were a baby, and instead say, nope, I'm not going to do that. What skill do I need? Okay, this is an emotion I'm having, but what do I do with it? Who do I talk to about it? Do I disagree appropriately with somebody? What is it that I do with this? They need to get to that place, but they can't if they don't have exact steps that they can identify that they need to do or that they possibly have missed. Now, this brings us to number 5, which is self-assessment. A person has to be in the habit of finding self-assessment productive and even comfortable. We need to be able to look at ourselves again and again and know that it's okay to correct ourselves and to improve. They learn this by you correcting them. So we have to regularly correct our children so that they get the opportunity to look at themselves in the mirror, in a figurative way of speaking, and self-assess. What do they find there? And how does that compare to the direction they'd really like to be going? We help them make those assessments so that in the future they can learn to do them all on their own. That's what it really means to become mature emotionally. Number 6, consistency. When we're correcting our children, we've got to be consistent. If you're not consistent, the lessons just don't stick. Did you know that? So when your child does something, they have to learn cause and effect in order to be able to really learn to self-govern themselves. The definition of self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So we just talked about self-assessment, but what about that cause and effect? We don't learn cause and effect well if someone doesn't correct us or praise us. Both correction and praise teach cause and effect. There are good things that happen when you make good decisions, and there are bad things that happen when you make bad decisions. Children need to know that, and they need to be open to discussing them anytime, even in front of a group. Not that we want to make a spectacle out of our children, but consistency means that even if we're in the grocery store or sitting on a bus, that we correct our children, no matter what. Number 7, calmness. Now, calmness is a tone element. I could have mentioned it before, but I saved it till now because it truly is vital. If a person is going to become emotionally strong, they have to decide calmness is their goal, that they want it, that calmness has power. There's a class I give actually called The Power of Calm. It's been people's favorite class for years and years because it really focuses on that power that comes from being able to be calm when you normally wouldn't, or when you have a craving not to. How do you get calm? Do you know how to be calm when somebody else isn't, and how to help them get calm without losing your calmness at the same time? This is a skill that requires tools and practice. In fact, I would love for you to get better at calmness. So I'm going to give you a gift. Anybody who watches this video, you can click the link down in the description of the video for the Calm Parenting Toolkit, and you can have it for free. The world needs more calmness. Have you noticed? Have you watched the news? Have you listened to the people argue on social media? We need that. If our children become emotionally strong, if they develop calmness, they will literally be people who transform the world right now. Because everyone is just giving in to their feelings and their emotions, and they're dumping them all over everybody else. Emotions can either help us be in bondage, or when they are used properly, they can lead to more freedom. But we've got to teach our children how to handle their emotions, how to self-govern themselves, and calmness is key. So go ahead and click the link below for the Calm Parenting Toolkit. I think you'll love it. It's free, and I hope it will bless your family.